Okay, so Naughty Dog has been doing a lot of damage control lately, and I don't know if it's working. This has 34,000 up, 23,000 down, which is the biggest proportion of dislikes to likes ratio I've ever seen on a Last of Us related video, at least an official one. As you all know, there have been a lot of leaks, none of which I have looked at directly. I've watched other content creators on YouTube talk about it a little bit, and then as soon as I heard a major thing, I just clicked out. I'm like, God damn it, why'd I do that? Despite all the hubbub about it, I just don't want to dive into those leaks because it may misconstrue the experience of the game. That is probably an ignorant statement at this point because so many people collectively agree that this is an awful situation. But I'm gonna look at this trailer as objectively and open-minded as I possibly can and try to ignore any little things I think I heard about the game. And ACHARA's heard nothing, for the most part, right?
I mean, I've heard that there's controversy and that there were issues and that there was...
But specifics, nothing specific, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different. Ellie! But they ain't.
Please stop! I'm leaving tomorrow.
To do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
So they just get to get away with this?
How'd you find us?
You can't stop this.
I want what you want. But not at any cost. I really hope you make it.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
Okay, so I'm gonna mention what I think are some of the leaks that I've heard. You don't want to hear this.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
if you
fine.
don't want to hear this, then this is a good time to click out because I'm gonna just mention some of the things I thought I heard because I haven't dove into any of it. It's all just cursory understanding. What I heard was that I don't know. Like everything I heard was like small bits, and it's like, okay, the notion that they both, I feel like that's something that could be changed. Like the game hasn't come out yet.
Just change it,
yeah.
you know.
No, but things like that, there have been instances in the past where games have been changed at the last minute. Metal Gear Solid 2 is a classic example. The game was supposed to release and then September 11th happened, so they pulled the copies and they took out any images of September 11th, from what I understand.
Of the Twin Towers.
Of the Twin Towers. Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. They pulled out any images of the Twin Towers and then put the game back out, just to avoid offending people.
Right.
And so it's not unheard of to change things. And obviously changing whether a character or not is a big thing. I have no idea. I didn't read the leaks. But watching this on its own merits, it definitely still has me interested. I still want to play. Like, Naughty Dog, in making The Last of Us, it was already a different game. The Last of Us, the first one, is a different game from anything that came before it. Yeah, we've had zombie games and stuff like that, even though Naughty Dog tried to say they're not zombies. I think they're zombies. It's just a different experience all around, and it's meant to hit you emotionally. And
well, I feel emotional just watching that.
all I'm trying to say is the game is designed to elicit emotions in you. And so everyone has emotional connections to these characters. And what I'm seeing is that you're with Ellie way more throughout the game than with Joel. I hardly saw him on the trailer other than like in the intro. I'm still gonna play it. Ultimately, I'm still going to check it out and hope for the best and hope that it's an enjoyable experience. And it's unfortunate that those leaks got out. I don't know to what extent the leaks really give you. I don't know how much it can really tell you about the experience of the game, because knowing details versus playing out those details over the course of a storyline is significantly different. Like if I were to tell you, I mean, I can't think of any good examples off the top of my head. This is a really terrible example, but if before Man of Steel came out, you heard, oh, Superman kills people now. It's like, what? There would be an uproar about it. Like, Superman doesn't kill people, that's one of his rules or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then in Man of Steel, you see what happens, and he's forced to kill Zod after so much death and destruction. He breaks his own rule. And you're like, okay, well, in the context of the story, it makes sense.
Right.
All right, that's, again, a terrible example, but what I'm trying to illustrate is that sometimes, specifics don't make a whole lot of sense on the outside, but when you actually play the game, it's a different feeling, it's a different experience, and so I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. That being said, I have noticed a lot of SJW appeal in games lately, and it's like...
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up, because I noticed that in this trailer, because the other, what was it, like a teaser?
Well, it's very inclusive.
Yeah, there was that whole thing where she kissed a girl.
I don't think anyone cares about that. That's been known. Because if you're a Last of Us fan, you played the DLC and you found out she was a lesbian, you're like, whatever. Like,
yeah, it doesn't matter so long as the story's good and the characters are good.
What
right?
I'm trying to say is, SJW or not, I don't think anyone really gave a shit.
So what's the big deal?
That's the thing, is I haven't looked at the leaks. So,
I feel like when it comes to, being an uproar about maybe a character being... If it's a compelling part of the story, if it lends itself well to the story and, everything's flowing together well, what's the big deal?
I have noticed a lot of SJW stuff in games lately. And when I say SJW stuff, I'm speaking from a neutral standpoint. All I'm saying is like, okay, for instance, I'm playing Borderlands 3, and there are a noticeable amount of women in the game. And I'm like, well, I don't remember that. I remember there being women and men. And now I'm seeing mostly women in the game, except for a handful of dudes. I mean, you still get to pick guys to play as, but like as I'm going through the game, I picked Maze, or whatever her name is, the girl who's got the robot, for those of you who played Borderlands 3. I don't really care about the names so much except for Lilith, or Claptrap. But my point is that I notice in the game there's just a lot of broads, and I'm like, that's interesting. And then the other thing I noticed was like Gears 5. There's a girl on the front cover, and they tried to tie that in with Terminator, which is an all-female cast. And so those are the two instances that I can think of where I noticed it. I felt like I saw it somewhere else, but it just feels like there's this effort to sort of have more inclusiveness in games, but it's being pushed to
an extreme?
Potentially an extreme. I'm not going to go on record saying it's an extreme, but I think it's potentially an extreme. I think that it's going beyond what would be balanced, if that makes any kind of sense. Potentially. I have no idea. I mean, I'm trying to stay as neutral as possible because I haven't played this yet. I haven't beaten Borderlands yet. I'm still in the throes of playing that game. I haven't even touched Gears 5, so it's like, it's not fair for me to say, oh yeah, SJWs are taking over the games now and whatever. It's all about inclusiveness and not really about the gameplay and whatever. Like, I have no idea because I haven't beaten these games yet, so I haven't fully experienced it in order to have a foot to stand on within these arguments.
For me personally, I think inclusivity is great, but that's coming from someone who doesn't play an awful lot of games. Like, I play certain types of games a lot, so this is coming from a very limited perspective, but I do think it's nice to see more representation out there in media, whether that's games or TV shows or movies or whatever. Like, even just looking at this Last of Us Part 2 trailer, there seemed to be a significant character who was an Asian guy. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
But I don't like to start there. I don't like to start at inclusivity. I want to start at a good story.
Oh yeah, for sure. Always start at a good story.
I don't see why they wouldn't start at having a compelling story first. And then along the way, they try to adjust things accordingly to be more inclusive. You know, I mean, like you said, there's an Asian dude in there. It doesn't strike me as this Asian face is completely hindering the story.
No.
You know, but like, I haven't played the game.
For me, just looking at that trailer, I was hit with emotions, which I appreciate because I always love a good story and I love being emotionally invested in the content that I'm engaging with. I'm just like, cool, that looks interesting to me. It looks like there's stuff going on. There's an emotional hook to get into, potentially. Obviously, it's just a trailer. Maybe they've just cut it together to take you on that emotional journey, but I'm hopeful that whenever you play the game, that's kind of the similar feeling that you're gonna get.
There's two comments here. It says rated M for ma'am.
As in, like, a feminist agenda.
Potentially. There's another comment here that says it's almost as if they don't want you to know. Huh. So it seems to me that they've potentially pulled a Metal Gear Solid 2. In Metal Gear Solid 2, for those of you that never played the game, there was a whole bunch of excitement around it because it was PlayStation 2's Metal Gear Solid debut. And it was very exciting because the graphics looked really nice and it just looked like a continuation of the story. We were all clamoring for more Metal Gear Solid. And you get like 2 hours into the game and then you realize you're not playing as Solid Snake, you're playing as Raiden. And it's like, what the hell? Who's this kid? And you don't want to. And when you find out why Hideo Kojima even created that character, it's even more infuriating. That seems to be what's going on here. Now I feel like I have to look at the leaks. I have a sense as to why people are frustrated, and I'm still gonna check it out just because like I love The Last of Us Part 1, and I'd like to see where they take the story, at the very least. Even if it's not something that's gonna make me happy. Like, I went ahead and bought Death Stranding, even knowing before I opened it that there was a lot of unhappy people because it just wasn't what they wanted. I played it and I was like, yeah, this sucks. But
I really enjoyed watching you play it.
That being said, I still just can't help my curiosity at the end of the day. It's like, I need to know. I need to know for myself. I need to see it for myself. Like, what is this about? I need to get over that, I suppose, at some point. But yeah, because of that compulsion, that feeling, I'm gonna play the game anyway. And I'll let you guys know how I feel. I mean, anyway,